Madeira is known to be a hiker's paradise, but we've got a toddler and we're always pushing around a stroller.
We're currently in Funchal and we're going to break down what life would be like if you moved to Madeira.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Kalie.
And at Expats Everywhere, we're the channel that talks about what it's like living abroad and shows you what you guys can experience. So let's check out Funchal, Madeira. Madeira is an archipelago off the coast of Morocco and is one of two autonomous regions of Portugal. While it does consist of a few different islands, we are going to be focusing on the island of Madeira and specifically the capital of Funchal.
We mentioned that Madeira is great for hiking, so you might be interested in knowing that the flora and fauna are so unique here that parts of the island are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Oftentimes, buildings and architecture are deemed with this prestige ranking, but here it's about the nature.
If you head to Madeira Natural Park, you'll encounter a unique vegetation called La Silva, which is now only on Madeira, the Azores, and the Canary Islands. Speaking of parks, the two other outdoor areas you have to head to are the Botanical Gardens and the Monte Palace Tropical Gardens. Here, you can also experience beautiful scenery.
Do a mountain walk, take a jeep tour, trek the numerous trails to see waterfalls, breathtaking lookouts, and more. So that's just a small taste of the hiking scene, but it's an island, so what about the water?
Parque de Santa Catarina is located in downtown Funchal and right along the ocean. From here, you can see the marina and walk along the water to Funchal Bay. Something to note is you aren't going to get those white sandy beaches here. It's actually quite rocky.
So maybe you don't want to lay out here, but that doesn't mean there aren't water things to do. You can visit the lava pools and swimming basins all around the island, or you can choose to get out further into the water on a boat. You can try to spot dolphins and whales, or just get out into the water and relax.
So these are just a few of the awesome things you can do on the island. But what about the cost of living here? Let's take a look at things like housing, food, if you need a car, and those types of everyday life things.
Housing is a bit tricky because if you want to be downtown where you can walk to everything and not have a car, then you will be paying more for it.
On the other side, if you want an amazing sea view, then you also will be paying for it. If you're in the city center of Funchal, expect to pay around 600 to 700 euros for a one-bedroom and 1,000 euros for a three-bedroom. As we always say with housing, it depends on a lot. You have to take into consideration how new or old the building is, if the unit has been renovated, what amenities are offered, how well it's connected, and more. So just use these as a ballpark figure, but check with a realtor or on idealista.pt to see what's actually available.
Monthly utilities should be around 100 euros per month. The good news is that the weather is fairly stable.
Keep in mind that it is a tropical climate, and the odd thing is even in Funchal, the temperatures can be different at the same time in just a different part of the city. So it will hover in the winter time around the 40s for the lows, maybe getting to the 60s, but then in the summertime it can get quite warm up into the 80s. But it really depends on where you are located in the city and even on the island. Generally, the weather will be quite good for keeping utilities at a reasonable price though. We've touched on renting, but you might be interested in buying in Funchal, and really, the sky is the limit here. You have all sorts of options here, from apartments to duplexes to semi-detached houses, and all offer something unique for everyone's lifestyle.
A lot of properties have already been renovated, so if you're looking for a turnkey in a central location of Funchal, expect to pay somewhere around the 160,000 to 200,000 range for a T1. It's possible to find something cheaper, but you'll need to put some work into it, and it might not be as centrally located.
It's also possible to find good-sized apartments that are T2 or T3, and they don't break the bank. Plan for prices like 200 to 300,000 euros for these, but again, there are a lot of factors to consider, so just take these numbers as a starting reference point.
You'll most likely want to have a car on the island, as it unlocks the beautiful nature that we mentioned before. It is doable to live here without a car, but then you'll definitely want to be in the downtown area so you will have access to more things by foot. You might find yourself renting a car every once in a while to explore more than just the downtown area. There is a bus system around the city and to other parts of the island. The price depends on where you're going, but for example, one way from the airport to Funchal is €5. Bolt and taxis are also an option.
The natural beauty is not the only unique thing of Madeira. They also have some fun food and drink options.
It's an island, so of course there are amazing seafood dishes to try.
Filet de espada, or the scabbard fish, is very typical to Madeira. It looks quite fierce, but it is common to eat it with a banana and a passion fruit sauce. Limpets are aquatic snails, which is a new one for us, but you can eat them here too.
Of course, octopus and a variety of other fish and sea creatures are available here, but the island is not just all about seafood. They are also big into meat, which is a bit more up my alley. Espetada are beef cubes that are skewered and grilled. They also have a special wheat bread called bolo de caco, which can be eaten many different ways, but it's common to use it as a sandwich for meat or fish. Soups, pork, anything with passion fruit, and so on are all options for food here.
And what about the desserts and pastries? If you pop into a bakery, you'll find similar things as you do on the mainland, but it's worth trying something typical to Madeira, like the amazing bolo de mel. A few of the things to try here are the quejadas, bolo de familia, and really anything with passion fruit, bananas, or apples. We will find out which ones are SIA approved. And lastly, there are some crazy drinks to try.
Ponche is a popular one that is made with rum. The island is also known for Madeira wine, which is comparable to port. Madeira has their own beer called Coral, which is pretty good. There are actually a few other crazy drinks to try here too, but you'll just have to come to Madeira to experience them yourselves.
Lots of unique things to try, but what are the prices like? Food and beverages are quite reasonable. You can get a menu of the day for as little as €5. If you want a meal along the water, then you might be paying a bit more, like maybe around 10 to 20 euros. You can get a beer for around €2, but if you want a cocktail, then you'll be paying more. There are loads of happy hour deals though, so be on the lookout for those lower prices.
There's one massive thing we haven't talked about yet, and it's a must when talking about Madeira. It's about Ronaldo, of course. Cristiano Ronaldo was born on the island of Madeira, so you can find his statue, bust, museum, place he grew up, and more around the island. The airport has even been named after him now.
Madeira is beautiful, but is living on an island doable? And what kind of lifestyle would we really settle into?
Okay, so our thoughts on Funchal. What do you think?
It's really nice. It's an absolutely beautiful place. Madeira is beautiful. Funchal has this really cool, interesting feel to it where it's tropical. Reminds me a lot of different places in Central America. Cleaner for sure than different places like different capital cities in Central America that we visited. Safer. I like it.
It's quite developed too. There's a lot going on in Madeira and in Funchal. Another thing that I noticed too is if you're coming here to go to like the white sandy beaches, then this isn't the place for you. This is more of an island for hiking, mountains, vegetation, that type of natural beauty as opposed to laying out on a beach all day.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think that the cost of living here seems to be really good. So if you're bringing a digital job or remote job from the US, the UK, Canada, and bringing it here, you're probably going to do really well. Your money's going to go far. I have seen countless menu of the days for under €7. A lot of them are hovering around €5, so you can fill up. If you're the type of person that likes to do one big meal a day, that's where it's at.
Yeah, that actually surprised me that the menus were as cheap, because a lot of times in touristy areas or touristy places, they're more expensive. You're going to pay a bit more for drinks and maybe the food, but it's not astronomical compared to some places. And then it's a great area just to weave in and out of the little streets and then find these little hole-in-the-wall places that are really nice and have really good food. Now, if you're not great with walking, you'll probably want to stay down by the river where it's flatter, and you'll see when you come in from the airport, it's high and you just go way down. So some of these streets are really steep. The hills are no joke. But if that's not for you, then you can definitely stay down by the water and be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a key bit of vocabulary, which is the word tourist. It's so full of tourism and tourist activities that as a foreigner, you might just be treated like a tourist 365. So I think that we need to give you fair warning. If you're thinking about moving to Funchal, you should consider that, because you're probably going to be treated like a tourist day in and day out, and that could get old.
And it's going to be hard to practice your Portuguese because everyone here, because of the tourism, they speak English. So you might have to ask them to switch, but even still with us switching, like we'll be speaking in Portuguese and they'll still be responding in English. We have had a few that have been great.
We had a funny episode with that at the wine lounge. So there's a spot that's down by the ocean, and I think it's for the wine festival going on. I don't think it's a permanent stall that they have set up.
Yeah.
But we went to put our deposit in to get our glasses of wine, and they spoke immediately English to us, and we spoke back to them in Portuguese. And then the girl kind of laughed. She was like, "Whoa, what are we doing?" You know?
Yeah, I think she was kind of like, sorry. And then, since she initially started in English, I just switched to English, but Josh stayed in Portuguese, and she kind of went back and forth between English and Portuguese. And so we laughed. We thought she probably thinks that I speak English and he speaks Portuguese, and we speak both. So it was kind of a funny little episode. You're right.
Yeah. Remember, guys, this video is strictly about Funchal. It's not about Madeira as a whole, although we are showing you some sites outside of Funchal. So we've come to that time. I'm going to ask Kalie, would you expat that?
I would say no, I would not expat that, and for a few reasons. It's a great island, it's beautiful, it's really fun to visit, but for us it's kind of difficult when you're on an island just getting off and on it, the accessibility to how many flights are there in and out every day, so if you want to travel a bit more. Also, I think the touristy thing is difficult because they really run on tourism. You'll probably always be treated like a tourist, which could get old after a while, and then it's a little difficult with the stroller. You know, the cobblestones, the uneven ground, the hills, that makes it difficult with the stroller. So unless we stayed over by the water, which isn't the most touristy area, I guess you could say, then it would be really difficult with the stroller. So although it's beautiful, I would definitely visit. I just would not live here. And you?
I would not expat that. However, I would say that it's just not the stage of life we're in. Mm-hmm. Like we want to be kind of in a busier, more lively, more residential, in a sense, type of place. So that's why Porto's really great for us. Downtown, like the old city center of Porto, is where a lot of the tourism happens, but you can definitely get out and get into kind of some more real life things in other neighborhoods of Porto. That's why we like it so much. The same thing can be said for Lisbon and other cities that are on the mainland. I do think though, for the right person, Madeira is great. The cost of living here seems great. The housing seems, right now, at least right now, seems very affordable. You know, you could buy your own place. Maybe outside of Funchal even, you could get even better values. But then the pace of life is slower. However, probably less, actually, I'm sure less tourism.
Right, I would agree. So I think two things to consider. If you're okay having a car, because I think you need a car here, and if you really want to explore hiking, vegetation, waterfalls, mountains, that kind of stuff, then Madeira would be a really good place for you. Maybe Funchal, but maybe somewhere else in Madeira.
100%. If you guys want to check out more that we've discovered here in Portugal, and when it comes to being an expat, click on this playlist right here. Now let's get moving.
Bye.
Bye.